I'm an ObGYN and I'm trying to get pregnant, and I've gotten the recommendation from so many people in the community to try to use Mucinex to help me. Now, Mucinex is a medication that is one of the active ingredients in Robitussin. It kind of clears up the congestion when you have a cough, and the theory is that it'll help the cervical mucus become a little bit more slippery to help those sperm get in. Taking Mucinex to thin out your cervical mucus is not something that we recommend in the medical community. It's definitely not something that I learned about, but it is a pharmaceutical. It's not like an ancient root or ancient practice. So I was wondering why so many people have this in their consciousness. And I suspected that there was probably something in the medical literature at some point. So I looked and found exactly one study that supports this. That study is about 2 pages long. It's from 1982, and it has 40 couples who were trying to get pregnant for at least 10 months, had no other fertility concerns except for a poor postcoital test. A postcoital test is something that doctors don't really use anymore, but it used to be used to check about the interaction between the cervical mucus and the sperm during ovulation, and after intercourse, doctors would take a sampling of the mucus within the cervix to see if there was a live sperm. If there was no live sperm, this was considered to be a poor postcoital test. But over time, research has shown that it doesn't really predict well who will get pregnant and who will not, and it doesn't give us super clear answers as to what to do with clinical treatment. So the American Society of Reproductive Medicine doesn't support using it anymore, so it's fallen out of popularity. But in the 80s, when this study was from, it was a very popular test, and the doctor who conducted this study wanted to see if Mucinex would help people get pregnant if they had a poor postcoital test. What he did was find 40 couples with poor postcoital tests and give them Mucinex to see if that changed their postcoital test or cervical mucus semen interaction and see if they got pregnant more easily. What he found is that 57% of those 40 couples, meaning 23, had a marked improvement in the postcoital test, and 63% of those got pregnant. 17% of those 40 couples had a slight improvement in their postcoital test, and 14% of those got pregnant. Of the people who had no improvement in their postcoital test, none of them got pregnant. Okay, so that's the study, but there's several major limitations. The first is that it's a very small sample size, and the second is that there's no control group. My conclusion is that maybe Mucinex helps, but we don't really have much science to back this, and I couldn't really find any other studies that support this theory. However, it does seem to suggest that Mucinex may help a certain group of people, so I think that this study was picked up in the news and it exploded and seeded this idea that Mucinex can help you get pregnant. It may or may not, again, but it was a time when IVF was really new, it was really expensive and not available to most people, and anything that could help you get pregnant when you were going through infertility was probably just held on to. I would really like to talk to the doctor who performed this study because he still is working as a reproductive endocrinologist in Philadelphia, Dr. Jerome Check. He's like one of the OG infertility docs, has a ton of experience for over 40 years, and has seen IVF come into existence. I love his philosophy on infertility because he doesn't think that IVF is the first and only answer. So I'd like to see what he says about Mucinex and what he thinks about it now. Stay tuned because I'm trying to get an interview with him.